Ladies, let's talk about something that might shake things up a little, calling a man first. Now, I know we live in a modern world where women are independent, bold, and know what they want. But when it comes to relationships, there are certain dynamics that just don't change. If you're always the one initiating contact, always the one making the first move, you might be setting yourself up for disappointment. And I want to break down exactly why that is. Men are natural pursuers, and this dynamic has been a fundamental part of male female attraction for generations. When a man is truly interested in a woman, he will take the initiative to reach out, pursue, and show his intentions. This is not about playing games or following outdated rules, but rather about understanding male psychology and how attraction works. When a woman calls first, especially consistently, she may unknowingly shift the natural balance of pursuit. Many women feel that reaching out first demonstrates confidence and interest, but in reality, it can sometimes lead to the opposite effect, making the man less motivated to take action. Men are wired to chase what they desire. When they meet a woman who intrigues them, they naturally want to pursue her, impress her, and win her attention. If a man isn't making an effort to reach out, it's often a sign that he isn't as interested as one might hope. When a woman calls first, especially if she does it repeatedly, she risks stepping into the role of the pursuer, which can lead to a dynamic where she is more invested than he is. But this can create an imbalance in the relationship, leading to a situation where she is the one constantly initiating conversations, making plans, and keeping the connection alive, while he simply responds when it's convenient for him. A man who genuinely wants to be with a woman will make time for her. He will call, text, and make an effort to see her. If he isn't doing that, then forcing communication by always calling first won't change his level of interest. Instead, it can make a woman feel like she's chasing after someone who isn't giving her the energy she deserves. It's important to recognize that relationships thrive on mutual effort, and if a woman is the one always initiating, she may eventually feel unappreciated and emotionally drained. Men also value what they work for. When something comes too easily, it can sometimes lose its appeal. This doesn't mean a woman should play hard to get in an artificial way, but rather that she should allow a man to take the lead and show his level of commitment. If a man is truly interested, he will not let too much time pass without reaching out. He won't leave her wondering where she stands or if he's thinking about her. A man who values a woman will make it known through his consistent actions, and he won't need to be reminded or prompted to reach out. Another important factor to consider is that when a woman always calls first, she may unintentionally set a precedent for how the relationship will function. If a man becomes accustomed to her always initiating communication, he may take a passive role in the relationship, expecting her to be the one who puts in all the effort. This can lead to a one-sided dynamic where she feels like she is doing all the work to maintain the connection while he simply coasts along without having to contribute much. A woman should also be aware of how calling first can affect her own sense of self-worth and confidence. If she finds herself constantly picking up the phone, waiting for his response, or feeling anxious about whether he will reply, it may be a sign that she is placing too much importance on his attention. A confident, high-value woman knows that she deserves a man who prioritizes her and makes an effort to pursue. She does not feel the need to chase or convince anyone of her worth. Instead, she allows the right man to step up and prove himself through his actions. There is a difference between expressing interest and taking on the role of the pursuer. A woman should absolutely be warm, receptive, and engaging when a man reaches out, but she does not need to be the one who constantly initiates contact. By allowing a man to pursue, she gives him the opportunity to show his level of investment and commitment. If he truly cares, he will step up. If he doesn't, then she has her answer and she can move forward without wasting her time on someone who is not fully invested. Men thrive on the thrill of pursuit, and when a woman takes the initiative too often, it can disrupt the natural flow of attraction. A man who is genuinely interested will make his intentions clear, and he will not need to be reminded or encouraged to reach out. When a woman calls first, especially on a consistent basis, she may inadvertently remove the motivation for him to take the lead. In doing so, she risks shifting the dynamic of the relationship, making it feel one-sided rather than mutually fulfilling. Men appreciate a sense of challenge, not in the sense of playing mind games, but in feeling like they have earned a woman's attention. When a woman always initiates contact, she may unknowingly make things too easy, leading the man to become complacent or even take her for granted. A relationship that lacks effort from both sides quickly loses its excitement. A man who does not feel the need to work for a woman's time and attention may eventually start to undervalue the connection. This is why allowing him to take the lead is so important. Calling first can also create an illusion of interest on his part, when in reality, he may not be as emotionally invested as the woman hopes. Some men will go along with conversations, respond to messages, and even engage in occasional plans without truly putting forth any meaningful effort. A woman who always reaches out first may find herself misinterpreting his responses as genuine interest, when in reality, he is simply going along with the interaction without actively investing in the relationship. If he truly wants to be with her, he will show it without needing to be prompted. A man who is serious about a woman will prioritize communication and make an effort to maintain consistent contact. If he is not doing that, then forcing communication by calling first will not change his level of interest. It may temporarily create the illusion of a connection, but in the long run, it will only lead to frustration and disappointment. A woman deserves a man who actively chooses to reach out, engage in conversation, and plan time together because he genuinely values the relationship. When a woman consistently calls first, she may also unintentionally set a precedent for the entire relationship. If the dynamic starts with her taking the lead in communication, it can carry over into other aspects of the relationship where she finds herself being the one making all the effort. Over time, this imbalance can lead to resentment, as she feels like she is always the one keeping the relationship alive, while he simply responds when it is convenient for him. A healthy relationship requires mutual effort. And if a man is truly invested, he will not leave all the responsibility on her shoulders. Another key factor to consider is that a woman who constantly calls first may start to lose her sense of self-worth without even realizing it. If she finds herself always initiating contact, waiting for his response, or feeling anxious about whether he will reply, she may be placing too much value on his attention. A high value woman knows her worth and does not feel the need to chase after a man's validation. She understands that she deserves a partner who actively pursues her and makes an effort to be present in her life. A man who is genuinely interested in a woman will not allow too much time to pass without reaching out. He will not leave her wondering where she stands or if he is thinking about her. He will make it clear through his actions that she is a priority, and he will not require constant reminders or nudges to stay engaged in the relationship. A woman who allows a man to pursue her naturally gives him the opportunity to show his level of investment. If he truly cares, he will step up. If he does not, then she has her answer and she can move forward with confidence, knowing that she deserves someone who is fully invested in her. A woman should not feel obligated to call first just to maintain a connection. If a man is not reaching out on his own, it is a sign that he is not as invested as she may hope. Instead of chasing after someone who is not making an effort, she should focus on being the best version of herself and attracting a partner who recognizes her value. A strong, confident woman does not need to beg for attention or force a connection. She knows that the right man will make an effort to be in her life, and she is willing to wait for someone who truly deserves her time and energy. When a woman calls first, it can shift the balance of power in a relationship in ways that may not be immediately obvious. Men are naturally wired to be the pursuers, and when that dynamic is disrupted, it can affect the way a man perceives a woman and the relationship itself. If a man is truly interested, he will reach out, make plans, and take the initiative to connect. When a woman steps into that role instead, it can create an imbalance where she is investing more effort than he is. Over time, this can lead to feelings of frustration, disappointment, and even resentment because she may start to feel like she is chasing him rather than being pursued. Calling first can also blur the lines between genuine interest and convenience. Some men will go along with conversations and plans simply because it is easy, not because they are truly invested. When a woman repeatedly initiates contact, she may be giving a man the opportunity to remain passive in the relationship. He may respond to messages, answer calls, and even engage in conversation, but if he is not the one making an effort to reach out first, it could indicate that he is not as emotionally invested as she might hope. A man who truly wants to be with a woman will not leave her wondering whether he is thinking about her. He will make it clear through his actions. A woman who consistently calls first may also be unknowingly setting a pattern for the rest of the relationship. If she is the one always reaching out, making plans, and initiating conversations, she may find herself being the one carrying the entire relationship. This can create an unhealthy dynamic where she is always the one putting in effort while he simply responds when it is convenient for him. Over time, this imbalance can lead to feelings of being unappreciated and undervalued. A healthy relationship requires mutual effort, and a woman should not feel like she is doing all the work just to keep the connection. Men are naturally drawn to women who exude confidence and self-assurance. When a woman calls first too often, it can sometimes come across as seeking validation or trying too hard to maintain the connection. A high-value woman knows her worth and does not feel the need to chase after a man's attention. She understands that the right man will make an effort to be present in her life without her having to constantly remind him. A woman who is secure in herself will allow a man to step up and show his level of interest rather than trying to force a connection that may not be there. Calling first can also create unnecessary anxiety and emotional distress. If a woman is always the one reaching out, she may find herself constantly analyzing his responses, wondering if he is losing interest or feeling disappointed when he does not respond the way she hopes. This cycle can be emotionally exhausting and take a toll on her self-esteem. A woman should not have to question where she stands with a man who truly values her. If he is genuinely interested, he will not let too much time pass without reaching out and making his intentions clear. A man who is serious about a woman will naturally want to communicate with her. He will not leave her guessing or waiting for a response. He will prioritize her, make plans, and ensure that she knows she is important to him. If he is not doing that on his own, calling him first will not change his level of interest. Instead, it may only prolong the inevitable realization that he is not as invested as she needs him to be. A woman should not have to convince a man to pursue her. If he is not stepping up, it is better to take a step back and focus on finding someone who will. Another important aspect to consider is that a woman who refrains from calling first allows a man to reveal his true level of investment. If he genuinely cares, he will make an effort. If he does not, then she has her answer without having to waste time chasing after someone who is not as interested. This approach saves her from unnecessary heartache and allows her to maintain her self-respect and dignity. A woman who values herself will not lower her standards just to keep a man's attention. She knows that the right man will not need to be reminded to reach out. He will do it on his own because he genuinely wants to be with her. A relationship should never feel like a one-sided effort. If a woman finds herself always being the one to initiate contact, it is worth stepping back and evaluating whether the relationship is truly fulfilling her needs. A man who is genuinely invested will show it through his actions. He will take the initiative to reach out, plan dates, and make an effort to build a connection. A woman should never feel like she has to chase after a man just to keep his attention. She deserves to be pursued, valued, and appreciated by someone who recognizes her worth. When a woman consistently calls a man first, she may unknowingly disrupt the natural flow of attraction and courtship. Men are naturally wired to pursue what they desire. And when a woman takes on that role, it can shift the dynamic in a way that reduces his motivation to make an effort. Attraction is fueled by mystery, anticipation, and the energy of pursuit. When a woman is always the one initiating contact, she removes an element of challenge that can keep a man engaged and invested in the relationship. While it may seem harmless or even proactive to reach out first, doing so too often can make a man take the connection for granted rather than feeling inspired to earn her time and attention. Calling first can also make it difficult to determine a man's true level of interest. A man who is genuinely interested will naturally find reasons to communicate, check in, and make plans. When a woman steps into the initiator role, she runs the risk of creating an illusion of mutual effort when in reality, he may just be going along with the flow without true investment. Some men will entertain conversations out of politeness, convenience, or even boredom, but that does not mean they are truly pursuing a relationship. By letting him take the lead, a woman can see whether he is genuinely invested or if he is just responding out of habit. A man who values her will not leave her wondering where she stands. He will make his intentions known through consistent actions. Another issue with calling first is that it can shift the balance of effort in the relationship. A healthy relationship requires mutual investment where both people contribute to building the connection. When one person consistently takes on the responsibility of initiating contact, it can create an imbalance where she is putting in more effort while he simply responds when convenient. Over time, this can lead to feelings of frustration, disappointment, and even resentment. A woman should not feel like she has to be the one keeping the relationship alive. Instead, she should allow the man to show his level of interest and commitment by making an effort to communicate and plan meaningful time together. Men are drawn to women who exhibit confidence, self-worth, and a sense of independence. A woman who constantly calls first may unknowingly give off the impression that she is overly eager, anxious, or even seeking validation. Confidence is not about playing games or being distant. It is about knowing her worth and understanding that she does not have to chase a man to get his attention. A woman who values herself recognizes that a man who is truly interested will take action on his own. She does not need to remind him to reach out or push for his time because the right man will naturally prioritize her without needing to be prompted. Calling first too often can also create unnecessary emotional stress. If a woman is always initiating, she may find herself overanalyzing his responses, questioning whether he is losing interest, or feeling anxious about whether he will respond at all. This pattern can become exhausting and lead to self-doubt, making her feel like she has to work harder just to maintain his attention. A woman should never feel like she is in a position where she has to convince a man to engage with her. If he is truly interested, he will make the effort without her having to wonder whether she is being too forward or doing too much. There is also a deeper psychological aspect to letting a man take the lead in communication. Men tend to value and appreciate what they have to work for. When something is too easily accessible or requires no effort to maintain, it can lose its value in their eyes. This is not about playing hard to get, but about allowing the relationship to develop in a way that keeps both people equally engaged. A man who is truly invested will want to show up, make plans, and be present in the relationship. If a woman is always calling first, she may not be giving him the opportunity to demonstrate his level of commitment. When a woman steps back and allows a man to take the lead in communication, it also gives her clarity on where she truly stands with him. If he is genuinely interested, he will reach out, initiate conversations, and show that he values her presence in his life. If he does not, then she has her answer without having to waste time chasing someone who is not fully invested. This approach is not about manipulation, but about maintaining self-respect and recognizing that a relationship should be a two-way street. It is important to remember that men who are truly serious about a woman will not let too much time pass without reaching out. They will not leave her guessing or waiting for a response. They will prioritize her, make plans, and ensure that she knows she is important to them. A woman should never feel like she has to push for a man's attention. If he is not stepping up on his own, it is better to take a step back and focus on herself rather than trying to force a connection that may not be there. A woman who knows her worth understands that she does not need to chase love. The right man will recognize her value and make the effort to pursue her in a meaningful and consistent way. By allowing him to lead in communication, she creates the space for a balanced, healthy relationship where both individuals are equally invested. When a woman consistently calls a man first, she may unknowingly create an imbalance in the relationship that affects the dynamic between them. Men are naturally wired to pursue, to take initiative, and to put in effort when they truly value something. If a woman constantly takes the lead in communication, she is not giving the man the opportunity to step up and show his level of interest. Instead, she is making things too easy for him, which can lead to a situation where he becomes complacent or even starts taking her for granted. A relationship should be a mutual exchange of effort where both individuals invest time and energy into building a meaningful connection. When a woman is always the one initiating contact, she may end up in a one-sided dynamic where she is doing all the work while he simply responds when convenient. A man who is genuinely interested in a woman will naturally want to reach out to her. He will call, text, and make plans because he values her and wants to be in her presence. When a woman calls first too often, she might create an illusion of interest where he is simply responding out of politeness or convenience rather than true desire. This can lead to misunderstandings where she assumes he is equally invested when in reality, he may not be. It is essential to allow the man to show his level of commitment through his actions. If he is truly interested, he will make an effort. If he does not, then that is a clear sign that he may not be as invested as she hoped. Women who call first too frequently may also give off the impression of neediness or desperation, even if that is not their intention. Men are naturally drawn to confidence, independence, and self-assurance. A woman who constantly reaches out may unknowingly signal that she is overly eager or that she lacks options, which can be unattractive. Confidence is about knowing your worth and not feeling the need to chase anyone for attention. A woman who values herself understands that a man who truly desires her will not require constant reminders of her existence. He will take action on his own because he wants to, not because he feels obligated. Another issue with calling first too often is that it can create an unhealthy emotional attachment. When a woman initiates contact repeatedly, she may start to tie her self-worth to his responses. If he answers quickly, she feels reassured. If he takes too long to reply, she might start over analyzing and questioning whether he is losing interest. This can lead to unnecessary anxiety, self-doubt, and emotional turmoil. A healthy relationship should not be a source of stress or uncertainty. By stepping back and allowing the man to take the lead, a woman can protect her emotional well-being and avoid getting too caught up in someone who may not be as invested as she is. Men also tend to appreciate and value what they have to work for. If something is handed to them too easily, it can lose its appeal. This is not about playing games or manipulating a man into chasing, but rather about maintaining a sense of balance and respect in the relationship. A man who has to put in effort to win a woman's time and attention is more likely to appreciate and cherish her presence in his life. On the other hand, if she is always available, always reaching out, and always trying to keep the connection alive, he may not feel the same sense of urgency to reciprocate. He might start taking her presence for granted, which can ultimately lead to a lack of appreciation and effort on his part. Another important factor to consider is that a woman who always calls first may unintentionally set a precedent for the relationship. If she starts by doing all the work, that pattern is likely to continue. A man who has never had to take initiative in the beginning is unlikely to suddenly change and become more proactive later on. Relationships should be built on mutual effort from the start. If a woman finds herself always being the one to initiate contact, it is a sign that she may be carrying the emotional weight of the relationship while he remains passive. Over time, this can lead to frustration, resentment, and even burnout as she feels like she is the only one trying to make things work. Letting a man call first does not mean ignoring him or playing hard to get in an artificial way. It simply means allowing him to show his true intentions through his actions. If he truly wants to talk to her, he will. If he genuinely values her presence, he will make the effort to reach out. If he does not, then that is valuable information that she should pay attention to. Relationships should never feel one-sided or like a woman has to convince a man to communicate with her. The right man will make sure she knows she is a priority without her having to chase after him. By taking a step back and allowing the man to take the lead in communication, a woman is also creating space for a more balanced and fulfilling connection. She is giving herself the opportunity to see his true level of interest without interference. She is protecting her energy, preserving her dignity, and ensuring that she is not wasting time on someone who is not willing to meet her halfway. If a man is serious about a woman, he will call, he will text, and he will make the effort without her having to wonder whether he is truly interested. The key is to trust in her own worth and to recognize that the right man will never leave her questioning where she stands. A man who truly wants you in his life will make the effort. He will call, he will text, he will plan dates. You won't have to force it. You won't have to wonder. You won't have to chase. The right man will pursue you willingly. And when he does, you'll know his interest is real.